I know nobody really has a crystal ball here, but what do you anticipate will happen in the next couple of months?
Yeah, I'm very, very grateful that we reached a consensus. This proposal would protect residents and avoid a gigantic spike in residential property taxes, while commercial taxes still go down as well, but it just moderates and preserves balance.
We all know the cost of housing is too high. That means residential property owners are set to pay their highest share, an increase of $780 for the average single-family homeowner. Next year, because of state law, corporations are set to pay their lowest share of property taxes in the last 43 years.
This is the most disingenuous thing I've seen in a long time. I think what she really meant to say is that under her watch, Boston's commercial real estate values have plummeted so badly that their tax basis is now lower than it was 43 years ago.
Let me ask you guys a question. Why is it that every single time a city is running out of money, the answer is always the same? Raise taxes. Not cut spending, not audit the books. Let's try to get more transparency in the mix, not slow the growth of the government. Just pay up. We've talked about this situation in Chicago, but now we're talking about it in Boston. Different mayor, same playbook.
So those of you who voted for Michelle Wu to still be the mayor in Boston, are you looking forward to your costs going up? If you own property to live in the city of Boston, starting January, your property taxes are going to go up. If you are someone who rents in Boston to live there, your rent is going to go up. If you own and operate a business in the city of Boston and you rent out the space to operate your business, your rent is going to go up.
Today we're breaking down Mayor Michelle Wu, Boston's property tax mess, and why her solution is not a solution at all. Because if you think taxing commercial buildings harder is going to save the city, well, it looks like we got some bad news. Let's get into it. So the mayor announced this herself. She had a TikTok explaining everything. Boston homeowners are staring down a 13% property tax increase. For most people, that's an extra $700 to $800 a year. And that's the average. For some people, it's worse.
We all know the cost of housing is too high. But in Boston, it's not just rent and mortgage payments. That means residential property owners are set to pay their highest share, an increase of $780 for the average single-family homeowner. We all know the cost of housing is too high. But in Boston, it's not just rent and mortgage payments. Next year, because of state law, corporations are set to pay their lowest share of property taxes in the last 43 years. That means residential property owners are set to pay their highest share, an increase of $780 for the average single-family homeowner. But you can do something about it. Last December, Boston asked the state to sign off on a multi-year residential tax relief bill. This legislation would protect our residents and stabilize taxes for businesses and homeowners. We filed the bill, testified at hearings, held town halls, met with as many state legislators as possible, and negotiated a compromise with business groups. But even after the Boston City Council and the State House of Representatives each voted twice to pass it, a single state senator blocked the bill. Because of that, taxes on the average single-family home shot up by more than 10% last year. And unless the bill passes soon, the average homeowner is projected to pay another 13%, $780, on top of that in 2026. That is outrageous and entirely preventable if the state acts. Special interest groups and those in their pockets spread disinformation about the projected tax increase last year. They said it wouldn't be that bad. They couldn't have been more wrong. Our proposal helps keep families in their homes and keeps businesses in business. Tax bills go out in January, so we need your help now.
And the crazy thing about this is Michelle Wu allegedly tried to hold an embargoed press conference so the media couldn't report on the tax hike immediately, withheld certified tax data from the State Department of Revenue, inflated projected tax increases in the past to scare lawmakers. A state senator openly accused City Hall of manipulating or hiding financial data.
I've never seen politicians do this, at least not to this scale. She ended up holding a press conference about property taxes, your property taxes, about your money. And she made every single reporter in that room agree to not publish the story until the very next day. This was what I would call an embargoed press conference about taxes. The mayor of Boston called reporters into a room and told them about a massive property tax increase hitting homeowners, you guys, in the next 3 weeks, and then said, you can't report on this. You can't report on this until tomorrow. When is the last time you heard a politician asking the media to sit out on a story like this?
Now, here's the thing. Boston is already one of the most expensive cities in America. Similar to where I live in New York City, the rent is insane. Getting a home is just out of reach for most of us. Groceries are expensive. So when you hear people say, don't worry, it's just another tax increase, of course they're not going to be calm. People are furious. And Mayor Wu's response? Well, the real problem is not me, it's the commercial buildings. We should tax them more. Sounds really familiar because that's similar to what the Chicago mayor, Brandon Johnson, likes to say. This is where the blame shifting starts. Instead of owning the spending decisions made at City Hall, the finger always gets pointed outward. It's always the fault of someone else. Landlords, the office owners. It's the fault of the businesses that's not paying their fair share or not enough skin in the game. And if that doesn't work, then it's remote work, or the economy, or the state legislator. Anyone but the people actually running the budget. This framing is convenient because it turns business owners into the villain and the politicians into the saviors. It allows City Hall to say, don't be mad at us, be mad at them.
And now she's back with the same exact playbook and the same exact fear campaign by claiming 13% this year. And Collins ended up saying something along the lines of like, show me the certified data first. And for some reason, Wu won't do it. So for the second year in a row, City Hall is holding back the Department of Revenue's certified numbers, and Collins literally is out here begging to try to release this information.
Commercial buildings didn't create Boston's spending problem. They didn't approve the budgets. They didn't expand the payrolls. They didn't decide to grow government year after year without a backup plan. Yet, they're the easiest target. And when that argument starts to fall apart, the blame shifts again to lawmakers who didn't pass a proposal fast enough, or to critics who asked too many questions, or to residents who were told they just don't understand how complicated all this is. Chicago did the same thing. Here's another question where nobody in City Hall wants to answer. What do you cut? Because when a household runs out of money, you don't say, well, we could charge the neighbors more. No, as individuals, you have to cancel subscriptions, maybe cancel the gym membership. You can't buy that new iPhone. Those Jordans that you're going to buy for Christmas, you may have to delay. You stop the dumb spending. You tighten the belt. And here's why this matters, because other cities are actually doing what you need to do. Look at New Orleans. There's a new mayor because LaToya Cantrell totally embarrassed herself. The mayor there didn't just go straight to the residents and say, pay more. Instead, the city openly acknowledged the deficit and started cuts. Real cuts.
So Helena Moreno says the city of New Orleans is being pushed into furloughs as well as layoffs after years of mismanagement. The mayor-elect said the city is facing a deficit of more than $160 million. Her plan calls for furloughs for 724 non-public safety employees, layoffs for 62 probationary workers, as well as cutting 36 unclassified positions in the mayor's office. She's also freezing most vacant jobs and realigning several departments to reduce costs.
That includes also the mayor's office, including the mayor, the CAO's office, pretty much anything that isn't public safety or you are, and we may have some furloughs within, like, let's say Department of Public Works, but they would be like a grant administrator or something like that.
Department budgets were reduced. Hiring was frozen. Spending was delayed. Painful decisions were made up front instead of quietly pushing the bill onto taxpayers. Is it popular? No, of course not. Is it comfortable? No. But it's honest. This new mayor understands something that Boston seems unwilling to admit. If you don't cut when revenues fail, the math doesn't magically fix itself. You either cut now or you tax later. And taxing later usually means hitting regular people the hardest. But in Boston, again, the spending keeps going up, government keeps getting larger, salaries go up, budgets grow, pet projects stay funded. Then they turn around and make TikTok videos saying, sorry, homeowners, we need more money. But really, you want more. There's a difference. Now let's talk about this idea of taxing commercial buildings will fix everything. This is where the logic completely falls apart. Commercial real estate in Boston was already hurting. Offices are empty. Vacancy is high. Companies downsized or left. Remember remote work? And Mayor Wu's answer is, we need to raise their taxes.
Boston's commercial real estate values have plummeted so badly that their tax basis is now lower than it was 43 years ago. That's the problem. That is the problem. That's why they're going to be paying lower taxes. They're paying lower taxes because Michelle effectively tanked the commercial real estate here. This is not because corporations suddenly discovered some kind of like tax alchemy hack here. It's because half of the office buildings in Boston now qualify as haunted houses.
That's like looking at a struggling business and saying, you know what would help? More bills. Here's what actually happens when you overtax commercial buildings. Companies don't come back. Landlords stop maintaining the buildings. Owners walk away, buildings will sit empty, and property values drop even more, which means less tax revenue next year, not more. This pushes businesses more remote, not less. It pushes jobs out of Boston, not into it. You don't revive a downtown by punishing the people who are still hanging on. So let's talk about what I said earlier about accusations that the city overvalue commercial buildings. Now you say, why does that matter? Well, because property taxes are based on value. And the issue is the value the city is using doesn't match reality. Commercial buildings in Boston are being assessed as if it's back in 2019.
It's basically kicking the can down the road. And if you end up, again, this is coming from a real estate agent, if you end up jacking up commercial tax rates even more, the owners for these properties are going to walk away. We can't keep them here. 27,500 people left last year alone. 27% of young adults in Boston say they are considering leaving in the next 5 years.
Buildings that once was considered premium are now struggling to stay half full. Yet on paper, the city keeps pretending that these buildings are worth close to their peak value. Why? Because if you admit the real drop, the revenue hole gets exposed immediately. So instead, inflated assessments help justify higher taxes, create unrealistic revenue projections, and delay tough budget decisions. But the market always wins. When refinancing fails, when the owners walk away, when buildings get hit with foreclosure, the true value shows up at once. And when that happens, the shortfall doesn't disappear. It gets dumped on homeowners. That's why you end up with the sudden spikes, the retroactive bills, and families wondering how their tax bill jumped overnight. This is not leadership. This is kicking down the can for someone else to do it. This is why Boston should be paying attention to Chicago. Chicago is dealing with a potential shutdown. They're chasing businesses out, they're trying to raise taxes, they're ignoring the spending and then start to blame everyone else. But new businesses won't invest there, and residents are dealing with crazy property taxes. And the tax base is shrinking. Boston is walking on that same road. Different accent, but the same mistakes. Here's what should be happening. You need to cut the spending. Real cuts, not freeze hiring or study a task force. Actual reductions. Release full transparent data. No games, no embargoes, no spin. Stop pretending businesses are an endless ATM. Because once they leave, the bill lands on the homeowners. Fix why people are leaving Boston. It's the cost of living, it's the regulation, it's the taxes, it's the quality of life. You can't tax your way out of bad policy. Boston deserves better than pay more and don't ask any questions. And if Mayor Wu doesn't change course, Boston's going to learn the same lesson Chicago already did, the hard way. But let me know what you guys think about this story in the comments below. Thank you for taking the time to watch this video, and I'll see you guys in the next video.